Hey guys, we're going to do a book of Proverbs. I actually have several more of these to do and one more small book of the Bible. The book of Proverbs has been such an overlooked book. Churches have gotten away from teaching it. I actually was supposed to be at a Bible study tonight, but got into a spiritual warfare and wasn't able to attend. So, I'm going to do this. That's one of them right now. So, the book of Proverbs has all kinds of stuff that talks about personal life. And it's really unfortunate that most of the time we miss this book. It's overlooked. That's why I'm doing a playlist on each chapter, but also I've done the small books of the Bible. They're the same way. It's a little book with just 1, 2, or 3, or 4 chapters. People overlook it in lieu of the bigger books, missing a ton of understanding and a ton of information. But that's why we go through this. It's minimal commentary. We just point out some things that might stand out to us, but mainly this is just a read through. And many of you have already commented that stuff jumped out at you as I was reading through it. But this is why we do this. And this is why I'm doing a playlist, so you can go back anytime you want to and dig into that. Go look at my playlist. I have several of them. I've done the book of Revelations too. So let's get into this. Proverbs 26. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Now, at first when you read that, you're like, cool, and just keep on reading. But pay attention to what it says. It says, as snow in summer. Snow in summer doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't make any sense. Counterproductive. And rain in harvest. You don't want rain in the harvest because the fields are all muddy. You want it to be dry. So your fruit sets and you can get in there and you can harvest it all. It's all muddy, you can't do it. Now you read the rest of it. So honor is not fitting for a fool. Snow isn't fitting in summer. Rain isn't fitting in harvest. Like a flitting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. And if you, the knowledge you gain from this kind of stuff is when you go watch a sparrow or a swallow, and they're always flying, always flying, always flying, hardly ever touch down. Hence, so a curse without a cause shall not alight. We have people, and this is funny because this applies to what we've just been dealing with the last few days. The people that are over there, and they're throwing all these curses at the grace preachers, but they have no cause for these curses. They've done videos about people that didn't even know they existed. It's a curse without a cause, so it doesn't harm anybody. They have no power. This reaffirms that. Now, it'd be different if they actually have something to complain about, but they don't. We're out here and we're just trying to preach gospel truth, and they're trying their best to destroy us and failing miserably. And what they don't realize is what they're doing is coming back on them twice over. Now, when you have an actual cause to go and to rebuke somebody, well, it's going to work. But if you don't have a cause to do it, like I had people rebuke me because I disagreed with them. Well, that's not going to work on me. It doesn't work on brothers and sisters. And my cause is just because I'm preaching you truth. Verse 3, a whip for a horse, a bridle for a donkey, and a rod for the fool's back. Tie up the donkey, because otherwise he'll wander away. Tap the horse on the behind so get him in line. And a rod for a fool's back. Sometimes inflicted pain helps somebody change their understanding, but not always. There's a time and a place for that kind of stuff. Verse 4, do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. And what that's talking about is what they do to you, don't go and do the same thing to them. Now, right away, somebody's going to say, well, but you went and did a video about these other people, and they're doing a video about you. Isn't that the same thing? Not really. I wasn't exposing people. It just happened to be that their name was there. I'm exposing the doctrine. They're trying to expose people, calling people false prophets that aren't even prophets. I never once claimed to be a prophet. Didn't even hint at it. In fact, openly deny it. Yet I'm being rebuked and called a prophet. You have to be a prophet to be a false prophet. But what I'm doing is exposing this false doctrine and this demonic misunderstanding and witchcraft that's going on these channels. And it was funny because when I called it out, now David Benjamin pointed some of it out, and nobody really paid attention. I pointed it out and went to the page to show the actual spell they're using and how it was being presented on their screen, which ironically some of that stuff was changed just recently. And everybody was like, wait a minute, I didn't know that was going on. Yeah. And these are people calling themselves Christians. Now you go back into the Old Testament and you see where the angels, the sons of God back then, that came down to earth and created the Nephilim and all that, they taught women that. So this has been for thousands of years like this. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Now this would seem to be a contradiction, wouldn't it? Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. That's interesting. See, when you read, this is when you catch things like this. So do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. That requires more study. That's very interesting that says that like that. That's not a contradiction. It's talking about something else. Unless you answer a fool, you do not answer a fool according to his folly, so you don't end up foolish like he is. But you answer it to correct him. Maybe. Okay. Verse 6. He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Yeah. And we have that happening right now. A lot of people are coming from those other channels doing that stuff. Like the legs of a lamb that hang limp is a proverb in the mouth of fools. It has no strength, has nothing to it. That's it. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Like one who binds a stone in a sling. Oh, is he who gives honor to a fool. You don't want the stone bound up in the sling. You want it hanging in the sling. So when you spin and you let go of the lead string, the stone comes out. But if you bind it in there, it doesn't. It'll come back and hit you in the face. So don't give honor to fools. Got that going on too. Verse 9. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Has no power, has no effect. Thorn goes into the hand of a drunkard, he doesn't care. Can't feel it, too drunk. Verse 10. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire and the transgressor his wages. Now this actually goes to a video I did earlier talking about how he even has mercy on the evil. It rains on the good and evil. He had mercy on Barabbas. God shows his mercy and cares for even the foolish and the transgressor. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So yeah, that absolutely applies. Makes a lot of sense. This one was thrown about quite a bit today on other channels. Verse 11. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. I heard the first part thrown out on another channel, a couple other channels. They never finished it. So what does a fool do when he repeats his own folly? Well, he's constantly doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen. Constantly saying the same thing over and over again, expecting something different to happen. In our terms, in our day and age, this is called psychosis. This is called psychotic behavior. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Where do we see that happening at? You ain't seeing it on my channel. Just saying. Do you see a wise man? Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. Pride is a killer. You think you know? I tell you, you know nothing of what you ought to know. I include myself in that same thing. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road. A fierce lion is in the streets. Basically, making excuses so he doesn't have to go do any work. As a door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. Creaky and not getting anything done. Making a lot of noise. Annoying. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth. So lazy he can't even feed himself. I know people like this. The lazy man is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. This is something I've had to strive with in my own personal life. is to come up with a sensible answer. A lot of times my answers and my messages are rough. They're very rough and very harsh. I'm working on it. I'm working on trying to be better spoken. But the contents of the message are good. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. What do you do when you take a dog by the ears? A dog will bite you. But this is true, and I've had to wrestle with this personally. Getting myself involved in conversations that had nothing to do with me. And I've fought tooth and nail to stay out of these things. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. So is that firebrands, arrows, and death? No, that's insults, lies, all kinds of stuff. Is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. It also makes him out to be a liar. Where there is no wood, the fire goes out. And where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. That's some people I refer to, they go run tell that. And try to let people know I got a bunch of them on my channel. And they're watching the stuff and they're going back and they're telling people what I'm saying. Good. Because you're bringing a much harsher curse on yourself than I could ever do. As charcoal is to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. These are people that cause division. A lot of them are coming to our channels looking for the sole purpose of causing division. They get shadow banned. Many of them are still typing away, putting comments up, because to them they can see that there's a comment going up. That's why I try to respond to everybody's comment. That lets you guys know that you're not shadow banned. The people that don't get a response, email me. I'll let you know straight up. I'm not playing games. This is no time for this. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the innermost body. They destroy everything. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. Looks great on the outside, but as soon as you drop it or use it, it falls apart. Has no integrity. He who hates disguises it with his lips and lays up deceit within himself. And we have this going on a bunch of different channels. They're disguising it as righteous indignation. They're disguising it as a just cause, or they'll disguise it as thus saith the Lord. They always like to attach that to it. I'll never say that unless God actually gives me something specific and says, you tell them this and tell them it came from me. You'll never hear that because there's no reason for it. Everything we need is in the Bible. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Remember the parable we covered about the house being cleaned? And the demon leaves, then the demon comes back, brings 7 people with him. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. I'm telling you, you turn the light on, you shine righteous light on these things, and they come out in the open. Now, some people will still refuse to see it. David Benjamin's doing another video in Revelations. That's awesome. I love that he's doing that because he really puts it together very well. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone will have it roll back on him. So if you're trying to create a problem or trying to cause a problem, it will come back onto you. This should speak to a lot of these people who are trying to cause problems on our channels when it's not warranted. I don't go to other people's channels and try to cause division. I go there sometimes, every now and then, and offer prayer. Or if it's a direct attack from that person, I go there and I present myself for them. Okay, come on. I'm not a coward. I'm not scared of you. You can do nothing to me. I've had people call me out on this computer over the years. Just out and out say, where do you want to meet? Where do you want to meet? I'm going to toss you a beating. Okay, well, meet me here. And on 2 occasions, I met them. And then all they wanted to do was talk. I thought you guys were going to throw me a beating. I'm waiting. Now, this was before I was fat. I was just nothing but muscle at that time. But still, don't talk smack if you can't back it up. Then I had a guy cussing me out. I was on his YouTube channel, just cussed me up. I was like, dude, that's not necessary. I merely asked you a simple question. It had nothing to do with anything negative. And he goes, well, if you got a problem with it, you can call me. I said, give me your number. So I called him 15 minutes later. What he said on his responses to my comments were nothing as to what his conversation was on the phone. And I talked to this guy for 35 minutes. Completely different person, completely different language, no cuss words, no nothing. And then I think a month later, I commented on one of his videos and he talked smack. And I say, hey, don't you talk smack to me. Remember, I still have your phone number. He didn't comment no more. People get very emboldened in the day and age that we live in because people have been too tolerant of things. If somebody starts to pop off and they're stepping out of line, you know what they used to do? You used to get popped in upside the head. Somebody called off and just knocked the tar out of you. And that told you need to shut up. And people learned. It's good to get a quick correction than to be allowed to keep making a mistake and end up dying for it. And that's what we're seeing nowadays. Look, I've said it many times. I'll keep saying it. When the rapture happens, no one will have an excuse. No one. There will be no excuses. You can't sit there and say, well, nope. We know exactly why you're still here and claiming to be a Christian. You didn't have faith. A lying tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin. So it's funny because I didn't proofread Proverbs 26. I just went and laid down for a little bit, and I came back in here and I was like, I'm going to do another book of Proverbs. I got a few more to do. And this discussed almost everything we're dealing with over the last couple of days and what's going on. So that's Proverbs 26. Please check out the rest of the playlist. And guys, we're going to change gears here. I'm going to keep doing Proverbs, but we're going to try to fight to stay away from all that nonsense that's going on these other channels. If it's a direct contradiction to the gospel and needs to be addressed, I'm going to address it, but I'm not going to get in, because that's another distraction of them, is to get caught up in distracting you from the gospel of grace to go and deal with something else. We're not going to do that. We're going to stay focused on the truth. We're going to stay focused on the love of God. And we're going to stay focused on our playlists and get as much of the Word of God done before we're taken out of here as we can. I love you guys. I bless you all in Jesus' name, and I will see you in the next video.